Seabirds, like all birds, try to keep their eggs and chicks out of reach of predators, but being ill-suited to trees, they often breed on islands instead. But when there's thousands of breeding pairs cramped on a single island colony, it can be tough to find enough food for themselves and their offspring. During the breeding season, the birds have to forage near the island because they always have to come back to their nest. In this instance, competition for limited food resources around the colony has the potential to limit breeding success. Many seabird tracking studies have only focused on single species, so we don't really know much about how competition might affect their ability to find enough food. On Montague Island, off the south coast of New South Wales, silver gulls, crested terns and little penguins all breed at the same time. In order to try to understand how competition might affect their behaviour and access to food resources, I attached GPSs to the gulls and terns and assisted in another project tracking the penguins. We trapped the birds on their nest, attached a GPS to their back with tape, and then collected that off them a couple of days later. Now, trapping birds is a harsh lesson in patience. They're very wary when there's traps on or near their nests, and when you do finally catch them, they bite, scratch, and try to poo on you. Yeah. All three species mostly eat small fish and sometimes krill, but as everyone knows, seagulls are also opportunistic and are just as happy hanging out at fish and chip shops or rifling through bins. In fact, one of the first things we found was that almost half of the seagull trips were to the local tip. The gulls forage around the island, along the coast, in local towns and at the tip. They'll also steal food from the terns whenever they can. The terns can fly a bit further in a day and can make use of deeper waters. The penguins can travel further still, but mostly seem to focus on quite a productive area from them, about a 25-kilometre trip each way, which isn't too bad for a species about a foot in height. This tracking technology shows clearly where the birds go, and then we can use statistical models to infer where they're actually foraging by looking for evidence of changes in behaviour. For instance, if a bird finds a school of fish, it'll spend more time in that area and slow down so that it can make the best use of an opportunity for a good meal. Identifying these feeding areas will help us to understand the foraging ecology of each species and where the important resources are located around the islands. Where two or three species have overlapping areas of high density foraging areas, it could indicate areas of high prey availability, but it also might indicate potential competition. My work will help shed light on how the struggle to find food in a competitive system shapes foraging behaviour. Obtaining resources is a constant battle for all animals, and these seabirds are no exception. So in answer to my question, it appears that yes, seabirds do, in fact, are compelled to compete for food.